chair of the board? Okay, sure. All right. We'll ask that if you have questions or anything to ask, that you please step up to the podium with a microphone. That way it makes the AI capture everything that is said, and it makes it a lot easier for the transcription that has to be done. What we're talking about tonight is spending 2026 money. Even though the vote won't be till March, the fiscal year runs from 1 January to 31 December. And there cannot be any changes to the budget numbers at the budget hearing. That will have to transpire, should that be desired, at the deliberative session. So we're all clear on that part. What we'll do is we'll go through the MS6, which is our budget sheet, what we work on. And then after we get done with that, we'll take questions as we go along. And then after we get done with that, then we will move on to going through the warrant articles. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Everybody on board with that? All right. I'm going to preface before I start, because you look at these numbers and you go, ouch. Okay. Last year, health insurance went up 16.3% for the town. This year, health insurance went up 14.7% for the town. Dental insurance went up 4.4%. And Primex, who also handles our property and liability insurance, their bill went up 21% this year. Primex is the only band in town, in the state. I think it was Greenland, was it? One of the other local towns shifted a year ago or 2 years ago and went to another insurer. The next year they came back to Primex. So Primex owns the dance floor. Okay, so if you have, we're going to be working off the MS6 sheet here. And the first block we're going to go to is general government. 4130, the executive branch covers health insurance for the town employees. We have a new employee coming on board at the end of the month or last week or so of the month. So that will account for some of the increase. And then also we have salary. Election registration and vital statistics. We have 3 elections coming this year. We have the town election in March. We have the primary in September, I believe. And then the U.S. general election in November. So that accounts for the 13,500 as opposed to the 9,300 approximately from last year. 4150 financial administration covers the audit for the town that we do every year, and that's under contract. 4152 is reevaluation of property. That is our assessor, and that's a contracted expense that increases so much every year. And that's Rod Wood, and he handles not only the assessments, but also abatements that are required and put forth to the board. 4153, legal expense. Let's talk about that one. We added 5,000 to that one this year, and I'll get into it when we go into the warrant articles. We had a warrant article last year for a legal trust fund. Last year, we had 35,000 in there, or 15,000 in there. And we had the warrant article of 35. One of the things we did as of January 1 this year, we changed town council, which will be a significant saving of over $100 an hour for this new town attorney. And when we received the town legal bill in October last year of over $10,000, it was kind of one of those, get me the paddles so I can recover from this, and then started researching to find out what was available. And the firm we hired, DTC out of Exeter, is a large law firm with a lot of partner attorneys, a lot of associates and paralegals with great subject matter expertise, which I think will serve us very well, as opposed to what was called a boutique law firm that we were dealing with previously. Personnel administration is not an issue. Planning and zoning, no change in that number. That's the same number we had last year. General government buildings, change in that number. That covers our utilities and our maintenance. Now, moving down to 4195, the cemeteries is what it's listed at, but that basically covers the mowing for the cemeteries, parks and recreation, and for the library. So it's divided up that way. That number for the cemeteries itself went up $3,000 this year because of basically the cost of fuel and labor and everything for the folks that are doing the mowing. And the folks on the cemetery committee have been very diligent in maintaining a frugal outlook, so taking care of their responsibilities for maintaining cemeteries. 4196 insurance Primex. Again, that was an increase of $9,727 in 1 year is what they hit us. And that basically covers property and liability. And as I referenced previously, they also do our health insurance. Advertising and regional associations such as the New Hampshire Municipal Association. There's no change on that. That's also covers when we have to send out legal notices, et cetera. Other general government, that number went down $2,274. And that was a function of two things. One, we no longer use town hall streams for all our audiovisual that we put forth. That's now on YouTube. So there's no charge from town hall streams anymore. And also included in that last year was the noise monitoring we did out for the Vernon Family Farm issue. That covers the general government section. Are there any questions in regards to general government? Mr. Steyer.
Good evening. I'm Mark Steyer. I live on Heath Drive. Toby, I'm just looking to get a clarification. What is covered under general government buildings? For example, the town hall needed some repairs or refurbishment. Is that the budget item for that, or it covers something else?
Oh, that'll cover that stuff. Mark.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, moving right along, now we go into public safety. 4210 is the police department. And as I referenced multiple times by now, and you'll be sick of hearing it by the end of the night, health insurance for our law enforcement employees went up $10,500 in 1 year. And then last year, to meet budget issues, we cut back, the police department cut back on training and cut back on expenses so we could make sure we had the salary available to keep the police department pretty much in the middle of the pay grades for the state. And it also covers training. Chief, is there anything you want to add to that?
Other than obviously costs for vehicle maintenance, that's gone up. Fuel, even though the fuel prices now are low, they weren't at various points earlier last year up to Memorial Day. So the usage of the cruiser and the fuel, that's gone up. And the training, insurance, and salaries basically are a major reason why it increased it the way it did.
Okay. Ambulance is still 6,000, no change in that. Fire department went up $3,143, and that's money for dispatch, for heating oil, for maintenance on the apparatus, and dues and membership in local professional organizations that the fire chiefs belong to regionally. The building inspector, his salary is set at 6,000, and we reset that down to 6,000 from 7,000 last year. Emergency management, there was no change. Any questions on public safety? Sir.
Sir.
So can you step up to the microphone, please, sir?
Just what's the 25,039 on emergency on a building inspection for this year?
25,039 is what was brought in on building permits. And half of that goes to the town and half of that goes to the building inspector. He has a $6,000 salary and he receives half of all building permits. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to airport and aviation. We still don't have the airport built yet. I think it's going in where Hutchinson cleared all those trees, but I'm not sure.
So you did that.
Exactly.
No.
All right, moving on to highways and streets. Highways and streets, we went up $30,000 on that. And the whole point of that is to try and catch up. We've fallen behind in paving. We did half a deer trees last year. Next year, we're looking at finishing deer trees and also Swampscott here. Along those lines, we have been dealing with the Summer and Pleasant Street mess for probably 4 to 5 years now. The engineering, what's the completion date on that? August, Bill?
Yeah, they're supposed to get us. I think we can move with that.
Yeah.
And we tied in the water lines.
So it's a pretty complicated project because we're changing water lines. They run underneath it. We're not going to do it like the state does where we pave it and then dig it up. We want to get the digging done first and then we're going to pave it. But we've had to deal with oil tanner and we're DES, and it's been quite a complicated process. Bill's much more in-depth familiar with it than I am, but it's one of those things where we need to do it right, and dealing with DES, and they're understaffed. And so it's been a project, but we expect we'll be able to get that done this coming year. Let's see. Don't have any bridges. Street lighting is the same number. That covers highways and streets. I'll just go back. I just want to touch back on the paving. We've been behind. We were trying, Brian's objective was to do a mile of paving every year. And for a number of years, we fell behind and we were not getting it. And we've been biting the bullet, trying to get the paving back up to where it was. So it just means putting another coat on instead of chewing it all up and redoing the whole road. So it's tough to bite the bullet and do it, but we'll save some money in the long run by doing it that way. Any questions on highways and streets? Oh, I like this. Okay. Sanitation is the next section. All right. 4331 is recycling. All right. So trucking and disposal. So Elm picks up all the recycling. They take it down to Bella Rica, where it is disposed of down in Bella Rica. And I didn't bring the numbers with me, but recycling numbers are extremely, almost, I would say at least double compared to mainstream solid waste for recycling. So that's why that number is as high as it is. Then we see solid waste collection. That is with Elm, who picks up every Monday. And they are under contract. The select board just renewed their contract, probably I think it was in September for a 2-year contract, as opposed to putting it out to bid. Had we put it out to bid, they would have rebid it, and we would have had a much higher cost because they'd have been competing against Waste Management and Casella. So it was the unanimous decision of the board to put it out for new contracts. So we will be using Elm for 2 more years. The next item, 4324, is solid waste disposal. So when Elm picks up all the mainstream solid waste, they take it up to Turnkey, which is owned by Waste Management. They drive the truck in, they weigh it on the scales, they dump it, and then they weigh the truck coming out. And so that number there is based on tonnage. And so whatever the tonnage is that is picked up, that's where it generates that number. 4325 is hazardous waste, and that we do that every year in the fall with Exeter at the town sheds at Exeter, and where you sign up and you get a pass to get in there and you get rid of all your oil or all the other stuff that you need to get rid of. And finally, sanitation fees with Newmarket, that went up $1,300. That allows the town, anybody in the town, to go to their, let's see, it's no longer a dump, it's what's it called? Transfer station. Still a dump for me. You go to the dump in Lamprey. The other thing that's in there is a fee that we pay for the closing of the Lamprey landfill up there in Rochester. And also included with Elm is we pay Elm $216.67 a month to pick up the cardboard. So we pay it $216. It takes it out of our MSW, our trash flow. And as you can imagine, that is a lot of weight in that cardboard. And what Jim does with it, he warehouses the cardboard into bales. And when the market pops up, he sells the cardboard, but it saves us paying for it going into the trash stream. Any questions on that section? Okay. Moving right down to the next one, health is the next one where we have a line in there. Health agencies and hospital and other. What this covers is donations that the select board has voted on to make to such entities as Meals on Wheels, Ready Ride, CASA, etc. So that's a charitable donation we as a town make to support some of these entities that help out our citizens. Any questions on that? Moving right along to welfare. $4,000 as a welfare officer. I'm comfortable speaking on this one. We have $4,000 we put in every year. We usually will spend $3,600, $3,700 of that. We could probably spend another $5,000, but we are very fortunate to have other NGOs, non-government organizations, come in and provide funds to assist people with heating oil, electric bills, propane, rent when they're in a jam. And this is a really important line because I'll get some calls from folks that are on the short end of the stick and they need some help. And this gives us the resources to make sure they can get through these hard might as well thank Lions Club because they have been incredibly generous and incredibly helpful to the town. They're out of Exeter. Any questions on welfare? No? Moving right along, culture and recreation, 4520 Parks and Recreation. That's up $1,475 because we need to do some repairs on the aluminum dock that got beat up pretty bad in the river there. And so we're going to get this, going to take some welding and some new hardware attached to it to make that viable. Anything else on that, Win? That's pretty much it, isn't it? Okay. The library, they went up $2,652. This year, the library will be replacing the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning unit in the library. The Friends of the Library have given $10,000 towards that project, and the town is giving $8,000 towards that project. And so that's some of the other things that are going on with the library. Patriotic purposes, number 4583, are the purchase of the American flags for the cemeteries and the graves of the veterans that are in our Newfields cemeteries. And the culture and recreation celebration. This was kind of a goat rope because there was an issue with people giving money and then bills being paid out of their checking account and then recovering that money so they could have it. It had a warrant article last year, number 5. The expenses dropped down $5,423. They asked for $11,100, and that's what we gave them as the select board unanimously gave them for their events. Any questions on culture and recreation? Moving right along, conservation, number 4611-4611, admin and natural resources for the Conservation Commission. Basically, that covers all the monitoring that they have to do for the conservation easements. And the amount we gave them was $7,000. That covers the budget line part of it. Now, I'm going to keep working through this MS6 document. If you go down to debt service, number 4711, principal long-term bonds and notes. The Greenway has one $60,000 payment, which will be paid in August of this fall. And we will no longer be writing checks for that project, which will help out substantially next year when that's $60,000 more dollars we don't have to give away. Is there anything else on there? Nope, I can cover that later. The other thing, I'm just going to throw this out now. If you go to page 6 and you look at 3190, under interest and penalties on delinquent taxes, next year, so we took 399 Piscasset last year or the year before. We have to wait 3 years before we can sell that because when we took it for failure to pay taxes, the owner has the right of recovery for 3 years. And you're not going to be able to sell that property if somebody wants to buy it, drop $400,000 or $500,000 onto it, and then the guy comes in and goes, "Oh, I'll take my property back." So until 2027, which will be not this year, but next year, we'll be able to sell the property next year. So we should recover, Sue, approximately $40,000 in back taxes. So if you add that 40,000 with the 60,000 from the green zone, not Green Acres, the green zone, that'll be $100,000 that we'll kind of make and subtract next year. So that will help us on the budget. All right. Any questions on the MS-36? All right. Now we'll move along to the 2026 Town of Newfields warrant articles. So I'm just going to throw it out an aside here for 2025. Article 1 was $2,225,263. Article 1, shall the town raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by a vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $2,359,237. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $2,269,920, which is the same as last year, with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Newfields or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13 X 10 and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Select Board recommends the $2,359,237 is set forth on said budget. Majority vote required. The difference between the budget that the Select Board supports and the default budget is $89,317. Any questions on Article 1? Moving along, future purchase of fire truck capital reserve. Article 2, shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be added to the fire truck capital reserve fund previously established for the future purchase of a new fire truck, recommended by the Select Board 3-zip. Majority vote required. We also voted in the previous 4 years, it's been a $50,000 contribution to that fund. As of 30 November, the amount in that account was $458,773.06. We also have $10,000 from the sale of an old fire truck that will go to that. And with the numbers holding the way they are, we should be able to cover the final payment, the final second half of what the new fire truck costs. And that I don't expect that account will be funded next year, but that could change. All right, any questions on Article 2? Article 3, Fire Department Equipment Capital Reserve. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $4,000 to be added to the Fire Department Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established, recommended by the Select Board 3-zip. Last year, that was $2,000. Speaking with the fire chief, they have a lot of air packs and other equipment that needs to be replaced, and to do so in a timely manner and before costs continue to escalate, the fire department requested that amount be $4,000 this year instead of $2,000. Any questions on Article 2? Seeing none. Public Safety Building Expendable Trust Fund. Article 4. Shall the town vote to establish a public safety building expendable trust fund per RSA 31:19-A for the purpose of designing, engineering, planning, and other professional services to address the need for a public safety building, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be placed in this fund, with this amount to come from the December 31st, 2025 unassigned fund balance. No money to be raised by taxation. Further, to name the Select Board as agents to expend from said fund, recommended by the Select Board 3-zip. I'll give a quick overview, and then John, I might ask you to step on that and mention a few words on it. We had Primex come through, who is our insurer, and Primex did what's basically called a safety survey, a site survey of both the fire department and the police department. There are numerous issues that are in the Primex report, which I believe some point you're going to release, that are health and safety issues for the fire department and for the police department. It has been numerous years that this has come up and fallen by the wayside every year by a vote of the town. But there is a planning entity in place that's meeting to find out how to skin this cat. And with that, John?
Good evening, I'm John Hayden. So yes, you've sort of covered all the highlights with regard to the commission that was formed, the committee that was formed to look into the town, hopefully locating property and putting together a plan to to build a public safety complex. Both our fire and police departments are operating to the best of their abilities, but as Hobie indicated, there are issues that could expose the town. Some of these issues are not new, but it's time to get the ball rolling and try to get a plan in place, because there are some real possibilities out there that the town could benefit from, some grants or other means of revenues that could come in. And we simply can't take advantage of those if we don't have a plan in place. So the committee was formed. We've had a couple of meetings, got another meeting coming up the 22nd of this month. We put this money in this warrant article because there's a little bit of studying we need to do for some of the parcels that the town owns to hopefully check viability and possibility of those being used for this purpose. And we can't do that for nothing. So we're hoping the town's folks will support this, and we can move forward and continue to plan. So, Chief, did you have anything else to add, or
It was said by you and Hobie.
Good. It's just,
have any questions, or?
if we don't act now, the only thing that's going to happen is the need is still going to exist, and the cost and the price is going to continue to climb. And it's been a long time coming, and I think the consensus of the town, I would offer, speaking presumptively, is that recognizing the need, that what we have for facilities now is not cutting it. It's not providing for the health and welfare and safety of our firemen, such as cleaning their bunker gear, having exhaust systems. They can't run the trucks in the barn because the exhaust systems aren't there. There's multiple reasons, and when the Primex report is released, you'll be able to get a good handle on the issues we're dealing with. Basically, health and safety for both our fire department and our police department is one of the key factors here.
It is key. And the other point I'll make, just to throw it out there, I think we all sort of recognize the need over time as the town has grown and things have changed. But the reality is, this isn't going to be something that's going to happen overnight, but we have to get the ball rolling and start the process so that we can hopefully again be in a position where we might be able to take advantage of some available monies that could come to the town that we just couldn't do if we don't have a plan. So we've really got to get on the ball and get something going. So that's really, so.
Mr. Thank you, John.
Excuse me, Mark Steyer. When will the health and safety audit, or I don't know what phrase to use, report,
Survey,
sir, when will that be released?
The committee will talk about it at our next meeting, with some sensitivity stuff in that,
mainly relating to the police department.
pertaining to the police department. But we will discuss that as a committee next meeting, and our hope is to have it posted online as soon as it's voted on.
Sorry, say again, please.
As soon as it's voted on.
Next meeting is,
Next meeting is next Thursday, the 22nd.
And is it appropriate to ask what is sensitive in this report that holding it back?
Evidence room, stuff like that, there's some issues pertaining to that. That's just certain things that public should not know regarding our evidence room and where it is and stuff like that.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Phyllis Mackey, Finn Avenue. Just a quick question. Who all is on the committee? This all sounds like a great idea, and being proactive is wonderful. And I'm just curious who all is on the committee.
I can speak to that. John Hayden is the chairperson of the committee. Bill Meserve, Jack Steiner, Brian Knipstein, myself, Tom Greller, and Lieutenant Blaze. Wait.
between 72 Main Street. So I think we've been through this a couple times before since I've been in town, of looking at this need, and I'm not denying that the truck and things that are happening at the fire department for sure. We did over the town basement. I'm seeing a 7% increase in police force due to training, due to things. 7% is not unreasonable in the world. We get that, but there's more police, there's more equipment. Yourself said maintenance. These are the kind of things that I look for and we talk about constantly. And when we went through this before, there was a Sally port, there was an evidence room, heavily debated. I hope, John, that there's a transparency that we can talk about this, because I think this is a large amount of money. I do understand you need to have money for grants, so if something does come up, I do understand that this is not raising taxes, but it's from this expendable fund, right? Not called a slush fund, we don't like that, but like we can have that. What if it's not there? What if this need comes up? It will take time, I would imagine, for this committee to go through that, because those funds might not be there. There might be something else that we need to pay for. Let's just say a furnace dies and we need to pay for that. You don't always have a group as generous as the Friends in this case. So we kind of got to look for these things, but either way, this is extra money that the town's paying, and we're saying, hey, we can't afford other things, but here we are saying, hey, we can afford to do this. And I think that that's a lot of money to say, hey, that's a big number. Does it need to be that large? I don't know. I do know you need to have money ready if somebody's got a grant. You can't not have a plan, but this is just, you're doing sightseeing, you're doing surveying, you're trying to find this. But I would say, hey, what's the real number? Because it's not a detailed drawing that you're getting in this. And in the end, this is just an idea, a concept sketch. We did this for the library, we did this for Main Street Art. Heck, we even did it for Town Hall. I did them years ago for all those buildings. Not saying I'm an architect at all, but that's kind of like the things you can do. So we get this pushback to say, hey, let's save money, but here's a pretty significant bill that we're saying, let's put this on the warrant article. I think that's there. And then we have a volunteer fire department. And there's no question that the new truck might not fit in there. We've all saw what happened in Rye years ago when they built a new facility. They didn't plan the inside of it. Like, this is significant. And I saw this come up and I'm going, well, it's a lot of money. And I've sat through a lot of the budget hearings here today, last month, saying this is significant amount of money. But I kind of, my question for the group is there, when we can anybody show up at that meeting, John, on the 22nd? Right. Good. I think that should be what people should do. Ask questions there. We're going to get a lot of questions at deliberative session for sure, right? We know that. Yeah. Right. So I just want to make sure that people know that.
I just add, one of the primary responsibilities, as I see it, in town government, is public safety, followed by fiscal responsibility. The conversations that I'm aware of, there has been a pretty detailed analysis so far as to the need and the scope and planning ahead with this facility, so that it does not become outdated and there is room for expansion within the facility itself. It can also be used as a cooling station in the summertime and a warming station in the winter, should that be needed. And it will also have the ability, potentially space for advanced life support fly vehicle for being stationed there, which will bring in income from the paramedic service if they were to station a vehicle in the facility. I would offer that it is a public building, public meetings. Encourage you to come to the meetings and ask your questions. Yes, John, sorry.
Want to make sure that there's some clarity with regard to why the committee is asking for the amount of money that they're asking for. And this has been discussed publicly at our meeting, there's minutes available. And as Obi mentioned, you know, the public's welcome to come to the meetings. They're posted. Next one is coming up the 22nd of this month at 5:30, I believe, Chief. Right? Part of what the committee is doing is looking at ways to hopefully save the town money in the long run by utilizing properties that the town owns. And again, this is something we discussed publicly. So this isn't privileged information, but the cost to look into those parcels of land between wetland studies, survey work, title search, you know, that costs money. And so we can't do that without having something in our reach to be able to make that happen. So the money isn't really specifically for like building design or any of that kind of stuff. We haven't really even gotten to that point yet. And to be fair, the group of folks that are on the committee all have a lot of experience, including Chief Young and Chief Buxton. We're not looking to reinvent the wheel. There's a lot of public safety plans out there. So, you know, I don't think that part of it really is where a lot of this expense could come from. I think the 50,000 is a big number. I don't disagree with you, Win, but at the same time, it's a number that the committee felt comfortable asking for in light of what we're facing, trying to work through this process of establishing an area of property that we're going to be able to use, and then, you know, potentially some other professional services that we may need to make that happen. So it's just an explanation. Yeah.
If I could add to not award enough money would leave the committee falling short. And then all of the work that could be done might end up still tying our hands for accessing grant money or other funds that could become available. To have money and spend it responsibly and have some left over would be the ideal. And I feel like this particular group of people is invested in being very cautious about how the money gets spent, specifically to the ends that they've named, and it wouldn't be spent otherwise. So worst case scenario, there's a little money left over, as opposed to all this work is done and we didn't award enough money and can't move forward after all of that. So that seems like a risk we have to make a decision about, and error on one side or the other.
100%. And ultimately, as we all know, deliberative will come up, and if the governing body decides to change the number at the meeting, well, then that's what they decide to do. So we'll figure that one out when it comes.
And the bottom line is, if we don't meet the gates for the federal grants that are looming on the horizon, and liaison, off the record, so to speak, or just conversation, there is money out there. It has been represented that members of the federal government, our representatives, know that there's money available. So if we don't have those X's in the block, we can't even apply for them. So any other comments, questions, thoughts on Article 4?
I was going to make a comment, and I met with the chief, and he had told me also there was a government, one of the leaders in government, I'll mention who it was, but he sat with the chief and he said, if you don't have all your ducks in a row and have this set up, you will not get any grant money. And so I had the same questions. Why are we spending $50,000? What is this all about? And you need to make that investment to get that grant money. So
If we're ready, moving on to Town Hall Expendable Trust Fund. Article 5, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Town Hall Expendable Trust Fund, previously established in 1998 for the maintenance and repairs to Town Hall, to be funded by the December 31, 2025 unassigned fund balance. No money to be raised by taxation. Further name the select board as agents to expend said fund, recommended by the select board 3-0. Last year, we put $20,000 into that trust fund. We spent, the work that we did over this summer is the whole building was assessed and repaired as far as all the brickwork. A contractor was hired, a very reputable local mason out of Exeter, came through, ground out all the bad mortar and tuck pointed it all and put all new mortar in. In the process, we found that the fascia on the backside, on the east side of the building, was rotten all the way through, almost into the rafter tails. And we got one of our local contractors who has been very generous with his time and resources to come in and replace that almost immediately within 3 or 4 days after asking him. And then we also had new gutters put on the back, because most of the problem was rain damage coming off the back of the building that eroded all the mortar and also caused all the fascia to rot. Plus, it opened an opportunity for, I think there's a squirrel condo living up inside the tails there. And a couple rafters down, I think there was a flock of birds that were also nesting there. So we got that all sealed up and taken care of. The other thing we did was we did some tree work here at Town Hall. We had trees cut down, we had it stumped, and we expended a fair amount of that money last year. The mason did say when he finished with the building, he said, this building is 96 years old and the brickwork on this building is exceptional. Now that you have done this tuck pointing and restored it, this building will easily last another 96 years exteriorly without doing any major maintenance. Had we not done it, we'd have started seeing serious structural problems in the building. So 20,000 last year, we think 10,000 this year is a reasonable number that gives us a little flexibility and a buffer in case something major fails in the building. We do not expect it to do so, but sometimes you're surprised. Any questions? Yeah. Road Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund, Article 6. Last year, the amount of money in that was, in 2025, we put $50,000 into that account. Article 6, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the Road Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund, previously established in 2012 for the maintenance and repairs of town roads, to be funded by $25,000 from the December 31st, 2025 unassigned fund balance. No money to be raised by taxation, recommended by Select Board 3-0, majority vote required. Last year, we put in $50,000 in consideration of the expenses and the hits we've taken this year for Primex for our insurances and how we bumped the road agent's budget up. We cut it down to half of what we did last year to 25,000. And again, the objective is to get caught up on our road resurfacing so that we don't fall behind and incur more costs and expenses as we do so. Any questions on that? Okay. And again, his goal this year is to finish deer trees and also the Swampscott. And then we'll also be working the Summer and Pleasant Street project to get those. And Quinn Court. Yeah, and Quinn Court. Any other questions, discussions on that? Moving right along. All right, Advanced Life Support Municipal Intercept Program Expendable Trust Fund. Last year, we put $25,000 into that account. Article 8, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Advanced Life Support Municipal Intercept Program Expendable Trust Fund, previously established in 2025, for the purpose of funding emergency advanced life support, parentheses, paramedic services, to be funded by the December 31st, 2025 unassigned fund balance. No money to be raised by taxation. Recommended by the Select Board 3-0, majority vote required. So it was in September of 24 when Exeter Hospital passed a word that they were terminating their advanced life support paramedic service in 10 days. And that was a real hoop to jump through. Through incredible efforts by the fire chiefs and regional fire chiefs and a lot of others, and a very involved local citizen. This program was set up so that it's based out of Plastow now. They have 3 fly cars, paramedic response cars. And our bill for last year was $13,500, approximately the same this year. And that has been covered by a citizen in the town and his foundation. He is also a person who bought probably about a $200,000 fully outfitted ALS fly car for the paramedic service. I have not had one person, and I've spoken to a lot of people about this, think this is a bad idea to have a paramedic. And I can attest to their skill set because they do a very nice job. Starting next year, we're going to have to start covering our costs. We've been over 30 years with Exeter Hospital where we never had to pay a penny for paramedic support. Starting next year, and it will be based, I don't know the final numbers, so I don't want to speak to what I think they are. It will be based on per capita in the town, citizens in the town, not households in the town. And it will be a fee that we will have to start paying and work into the budget. So that is something, that's why we will have $35,000 in this trust fund to help mitigate that expense. We also have in the MS6, the document before, we have a placeholder in there of $1. So that line is established so that when we start putting this as a taxable item expense, that we can put it right in there and fill those monies in there. So we've planned ahead for that. And again, I'm very impressed by the generosity of this gentleman in town and his foundation to take care of the town. Any questions on this article? Okay, moving along. Yes, ma'am.
You missed Article 7.
Oh, it's marine math and public, sorry. I didn't miss that. Article 7. So we're moving back to Article 7. Thank you, Sue. Legal Expendable Trust Fund, 2025, we put $35,000 into that. Article 7, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be added to the Legal Expendable Trust Fund? For this is established in 2025 to be funded by the December 31st, 2025 unassigned fund balance. No money to be raised by taxation, recommended by the Select Board 3-0. Majority vote required. The past couple of years have been challenging legally. We had 3 lawsuits going against the town at one point. One was a zoning issue where the town was sued because the gentleman did not get his zoning approval the outcome was not the way he wanted it. The other one was a suit brought by the abutters to Vernon Family Farm against the town, claiming that the enforcement efforts by the town were insufficient as to the notice of decision in the town ordinances. That was subsequently dismissed by the court, and the town was absolved of liability in that. The third lawsuit that is still ongoing, it's called, for lack of a better term, the Newfields 6, that relates to protesting that was done in front of the governor's house back during COVID. And the state of New Hampshire has numerous entities in the Department of Justice, state police that are being sued, as well as the town. That is still ongoing. That has been shifted off to an attorney that Primex hired to deal with that. Add into the conjunction the fact we've got those 2 major events behind us, and that we have now switched town council, which I believe will be a more efficient and effective council, and also at a much more better rate, so to speak, saving $100 an hour. That would have dropped that October bill to $7,500 from $10,000. It was the decision of the board that $20,000 in this trust fund should be sufficient to cover any legal expenses that we incur this coming year. Any questions? And I didn't skip it, trying not to have to do it. Library Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund. This is Article 9, a citizen's petition. Shall the town vote to establish a library maintenance expendable trust fund per RSA 31:19-A for the purpose of funding expenses necessary to maintain the library building in a good and safe condition, and to repair its systems as may be necessary, and to raise and appropriate $5,000 to be placed in this fund, with this amount to come from the December 31st, 2025 unassigned fund balance. No money to be raised by taxation, for the named Select Board as agents to expend from said fund. Any questions, comments?
Just need to say majority vote.
So that's a majority vote, is it not?
I believe that we need to have a recommendation by the Select Board because there is money involved.
Okay, we will take care of that.
It should say majority vote required.
And I think our prior minutes reflect that we had this conversation and did actually all.
They did,
Yes.
and so majority vote required. It was 3-0 unanimous. The Select Board to support that. Okay, any questions on that one? Phyllis?
Sorry, Phyllis Mackey. I'm just realizing that I've listened to a lot of these for a long time. Where does the money for the unassigned fund balance come from?
If you will, let me finish these because I've got a whole thing to go into. Does that work for you, folks? All right. I will get to that. Thank you, ma'am. Revised tax credit for service-connected total disability, Article 10. Shall the town vote in accordance with RSA 72:27-A to modify the provisions of RSA 72:35 previously adopted for an optional tax credit of $1,900 for service-connected total and permanent disability. If approved, the article shall take effect for the final property tax bill of the 2026 property tax year. recommended by the select board, 3-0, majority vote required. Sue, will you expound on this one, please? Because if I try it, I'll leave parts on.
Previous to this law change in July, a veteran could receive $500 for a veteran's credit. And if you had a service-connected disability, you could receive $1,400.
100%, Sue. 100%.
100% disability, yes. So now they just want to combine those two amounts. And if you have a service-connected disability, it'll be one exemption you receive rather than the two. That's all the law requires now.
It's basically an administrative drill to change the situation. So it's instead of 2 gates to go through, you only have to go through 1 gate to receive it.
Yes, Bob.
It says service. I was gonna ask the question until you said veteran. I didn't realize.
Oh,
I don't think everyone will understand that.
And I think that's
Right.
a good point to amend it, because I was thinking about that. I read it.
well, you know what? We should add something in there.
Veteran service connected total
Yes.
disability.
Good call. I'll do that.
Thank you, sir. Article 11, appoint agents to sewer maintenance trust fund. Article 11, shall the town vote to appoint the Newfields Village Water and Sewer District Commissioners as agents to expend from the sewer maintenance trust fund previously established in 2003? Majority vote required. John, would you like to speak to that? Might as well stay up there.
So there's currently a fund that was established back in 2003, as it states, that does not have named agents to expend from. So since this particular fund is for the sewer maintenance, we are asking for the townspeople to approve and appoint the district commissioners as agents to expend from the fund. Pretty simple.
Any questions on that one?
It was recommended by the select board 3-0. When we discussed it, I don't know if that needs to be added, but.
That's it, because it's
I don't
money.
think we needed to, have a recommendation because there was no money.
That's the difference. Appoint, Article 12, appoint agents to the Water Department Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to appoint the Newfields Village Water and Sewer District Commissioners as agents to expend from the Water Department Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund previously established in 1992? Majority vote required.
Same.
Like it. Article 13, appoint agents to Standpipe Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to appoint the Newfields Village Water and Sewer District Commissioners as agents to expend from Standpipe Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund previously established in 1991? Majority vote required.
Same. And I didn't clarify when I stood up here that currently I am water commissioner along with Bill Meserve and George Drinkwater. The three of us are the Newfields Village Water and Sewer District Commissioners. Just point of clarity.
Just a.
So this, Michael, and then it's your meeting. The town. The governing body. My understanding is the governing body, not the Board of Selectmen. I don't believe there are agents named for any of those funds. So
Thank you, John.
you're welcome.
Phyllis.
I don't know whether it's loud, but to have it say that the select board approved it 3-0, because I'm thinking, people don't understand. It's only about a main thing. If they look down and they see that the select board didn't approve it, they might infer that it wasn't a good idea.
I don't, that's a great question, Phyllis. I'm not sure the reason that it was or wasn't put there. I don't.
I could find out. I mean, it can't hurt to make a recommendation, it's just not necessary because there is no monetary value to it, but we can.
And then the board did support it, 3-0, all three of them.
The other warrant articles that do have the recommendations also have money appropriations. So I think that's probably the distinction between the two and the reason why these do not. Because these funds are already established. We're not adding money to them. We're not asking for the townspeople for any money. We just want to get it so that the commissioners, whoever they may be for the water and sewer district, can utilize the funds as they need instead of having to come to the town and wait until March to get a vote.
You got it, John.
Speak up when, please, so we
Is there money in the funds now?
Sure. Yeah. I couldn't tell you how much at this moment, just because.
Okay, so these are.
And before he tells you how much, this is how much I'm worried about, how, because I don't even know, like, I just know.
Oh,
How much, Steve?
250, 250,000.
Just one more, please. The Water Department Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund, the end of November had a little over $5,000 in it. The Standpipe Maintenance Expendable Fund had $107,000 in it. What's the other one? Not all on the same page, I'm sorry. The Sewer Maintenance Fund had $147,000 in it. And disbursements of these funds has to run through the trustees of the trust funds.
Sorry. So this is just a cleanup. These are just cleanup. So right people, if needed, can expend that.
We can expend them, but as Steve poignantly pointed out, the monies have to go through the trustees. This is just authorizing for agents for the funds to be able to ask to expend them. So, Michael.
To that point, currently, for the most part, you have to go before town meeting to get any funds expended. By making the commissioners agents, it allows them to make a decision about expenditure anytime during the year.
That's correct. Any other questions?
Good. Thank you, John. Phyllis, undesignated fund balance. Towns are required by the RSA to have greater than 5% and or less than 17% of the operating budget in their undesignated fund balance. Basically, monies that are unspent roll into that undesignated fund balance. And as in 2024, we had $1,036,549, 12.13%. In 2025, as a result of the monies that were expended last year, which was approximately 174 without looking for the number, we had $770,998 at 8.6%. It was, and I'll be presumptive here, but it was the opinion of the board. We took monies out to reduce the tax rate this year. In the previous year, we had received a substantial amount of monies in result of the Hazen property and the fees and the taxes that we received, and we used those. That bumped up what our tax rate was going to be for this year for the municipal level. And so what we did as a board, we put $175,000 out of the undesignated fund balance towards the tax rate. And we lowered the tax rate we dropped it from $3.20 per thousand at the town level to $2.80 per thousand. Now, one of the issues for the board when we were talking about this was that this is a huge chunk of change coming out of undesignated funds. And it was one of those things where you just kind of go, okay, we've taken this huge hit on health insurance for the town. Primex hit us on our other insurances, and a lot of things have just gone up, as everybody's familiar with at this time. Electric bills for rates for folks have gone up, and people are still working to get out of the morass we've been in. So we decided to bite the bullet and cut the tax rate for this year. And it would be my recommendation that next year, we lower the tax rate to 5%. And we lower the tax rate to 5% we be very judicious with any monies being dispersed from the undesignated fund balance to build that amount of money back up. So this year, it's going to be $2.80 at the local tax rate per 1,000. We were at $2.55 last year per 1,000. And just while you're sitting here, I'll just recap it. So we're at $2.80 per 1,000 on the municipal rate. The county rate is 63 cents. Local education is a throat punch again. It's $12.42. And then state education is $1.10 for the total tax rate being $17.35. So to try and mitigate the impact town, that was the mindset of the board. So that pretty much, does that answer your question, Phyllis? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Overall, the operating budget this year went up 6.02%. The warrant articles this year compared to last year, we lowered the warrant article expenditures by $67,147. And the total appropriations recommended went up 2.7% to 66,000 and change. And the estimated amount of taxes to be raised increased 8.73% for a total tax increased number of $127,565. So we've tried to very hard. We've been probably annoying to a lot of departments as we've tried to cut expenditures and cut expenses and focus on needs versus wants. So that's kind of where we're at on the budget stuff. Kat, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that anything I would add would be a deliberative session process, not for tonight.
Okay. Mark?
No. But just to, again, answer Phyllis's question, that slush fund that we've had built up quite a bit. And we were getting a great interest rate on that fund for some time. So I think it came time to cut into that a little bit, break the piggy bank and use it for the town residents to give them a little relief. That was it, basically.
Okay.
And by relief, you're talking about not taxing the state tax increases down to the residents of the town
Exactly.
only. We
Exactly.
basically intercepted that and used funds that have been accruing interest to bring that relief.
This was a one-time, right?
Every year.
I'm sorry, can't hear.
It sounded like it's a one-time.
Well, yeah, we every year we make an assessment as a board whether we're going to remove any funds from the undesignated fund balance. And we did it last year, the year before, and then we just did it for this tax bill, this tax season.
And every year the state levies tax on the towns based on our property values, et cetera. The schools levy their taxes, or the district. So there's a variety of things outside of our control that hit the town. And then the board has the option to look at whether we have enough money to help bring relief to residents by not passing those increases in taxes directly onto landowners, property owners, homeowners.
So I just,
That's every year. It's not one.
right.
That's what I was hoping to answer. This is an every year exercise.
But now excuse me, I'm not supposed to use the word.
General fund.
The general funds.
Undesignated funds.
Designated funds, they've gone down quite a bit. So next year you can't do the same thing.
You'd like to.
My question.
We're still above the minimum required and the minimum and which is the 5%, but certainly want to build that number back up. They have a solid buffer for rainy days and issues.
Thank you.
If there is nothing else for the budget, we have one administrative issue to do for the select board. King's X. Anything else anybody wants to bring up in regards to the budget issues?
Thank you. What we do.
Thank you. One of the things we have today that showed up in town hall is the snowmobile trail permission slip. The Newfields Snow Riders, are looking, they had a 5-year contract back to September of 2018. So doing a little math, that expired in 23, and they need to do it. Basically, this is snowmobile trail permission, and it's, will be written permission to the Newfields Snow Riders to provide public snowmobile access on property. And that is our property, the town property. It's understood that use of the property for said purposes in no way holds me/the town liable or responsible for accidents that may occur as a result of others using my property as provided in chapter 212, et cetera, RSA. There shall be no fee for use of this property. The above named club agrees to mark, sign, and maintain the property in a proper and safe manner. The club agrees to obtain my permission prior to any project work done on the trail system located on the property. State of New Hampshire Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, Division of Parks and Recreation, Bureau of Trails, to also provide the landowner liability insurance policy with a coverage of $2 million for trails within the grant and aid program. This agreement shall have a term of, we have indefinite 1 year or 5 years. I think 5 years would be appropriate again, just like the last one was. This agreement may be terminated for any cause by either party upon 30 days written notification. So I would make a motion that we move forward on this as far as a 5-year permission. Any questions, observations, Cap? Mark?
Was there an expense? What's the insurance premium on that?
There's no premium on it. It costs us nothing. That's the part where we have no obligation to cost us. The $2 million insurance is provided by the state of New Hampshire.
Okay, great.
Right, I'll make a motion to sign this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's all the business unless somebody else has something up. Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You. Now we just want to spend it.
And what?
Yeah.
Do.